don't be afraid to reach out, show emotions, whatever emotions you feel, let them out. But I mean, like, there's no need to bottle it up and feel like you're less of a man or less of a whoever just because you're feeling something, and always reach out to your loved ones.
Welcome back to the podcast. I started this podcast as a way to help Black men in all aspects of our lives. Studies show on average we lose 2.8 years of our life when we're under heavy stress. And I think we can gain those 2.8 years back if we express ourselves healthily. Stick with me as I interview therapists, doctors, advocates, activists, and friends about how we can be better as Black men and as a Black community. If you're not subscribed to us on YouTube and following us on Instagram and TikTok, you'll definitely want to do that. Without further ado, let's get into the episode. We are here with Austin Pope. Austin is also known as the Burbank Kid. He played basketball collegiately in Hawaii. He's also played 6 years professionally. He's a coach, he's a mentor, and a pro basketball player. But amongst a bunch of other things that you obviously do, bro. So, Austin, how you doing, man?
Man, I'm doing great, Kizzle, man. I appreciate you for having me on the Express Yourself Black Man podcast, brother. Appreciate it.
Yes, sir, man. You have a really interesting story. So I feel like it was definitely important for us to kind of connect and definitely talk through that so that people could hear what you've gone through, especially with basketball, because I feel like that's something that, not even just basketball, just sports in general, that's something that we deal with as Black men, right? Like we all have that, like, I'm going to the A, I'm going to the NFL, right? Like I'm going to the league, right?
Absolutely.
So you came up as one of the top high school players in your area. Can you tell me a little bit about that experience?
Man, yeah. I mean, being one of the top athletes in my area was an honor that I carried with myself, and something that I saw for myself when I was younger. I had cousins, and my mom. It started with my mom. My mom played, so if you let her tell it, she taught me everything she knows, but she lying. But she was very good in her own regard, and I kind of prepared myself for that mentally. Going into high school and the preparation, the work ethic. And I think the challenges that I did have, though, was me growing up a lot of my life. I grew up in like the downtown LA area, cousins and my family from Inglewood to Crenshaw to Gardena, like those areas out here in LA. To then my parents moving to Burbank, which is a predominantly, I wouldn't say white, but it has more diversity, growing up, over here, more European. So being a top high school player, in a predominantly, I'm the minority. There's maybe 10 Black kids at my school.
Right.
We all play at some degree. So that was definitely different for me. But
yeah, and I know you also talked about being in high school and having a football player that died by suicide, right? So like you had a really early experience with seeing like what mental health can do, and if somebody doesn't take care of it, what that can possibly be like. So can you take me through that? Because I feel like some of us have those stories and we've heard about stuff like that, but we don't really talk about like the experience and like how we felt and like what happened as a result of that.
No, absolutely. I mean, this is probably the first time I'll actually speak about it outwardly to public. But man, I was about a sophomore in high school, and we had a football player, may he rest in love, Matt Smizer. He wasn't in my grade level per se, but as far as the athletics, you're all like brothers and sisters at that point, for whether football, volleyball, baseball. And I remember it was like in the wintertime. I had been around this time, if memory serves me correctly. And I remember just getting that information. It was a little bit, we was social media, Facebook and all that stuff, like it was popular. And I remember seeing like statuses like, rest in peace, Matt Smizer, rest in peace, and at the time, 15, 16 years old, you don't know, what's the cause of that. And, as his peers, we get to talk, and you get to learn that, he took his life and he committed suicide. And that was something that at 15, 16 years old, you don't really understand. You hear about it, people loosely talk about it, you see it in shows and music, but when it actually happens in front of you with something so close to you, regardless of our interactions, I probably had maybe a handful of interactions with him in his life of us knowing each other. But when that stuff happens, it feels like those interactions were like 100 interactions. You know what I mean? You feel like you knew him. And he always had a smile on his face. And, you never know the cause, behind those kind of things, especially at that age. Like, you just sitting there like, man, like, we're peers, but he's a year younger than me. Like, what is he going through that I'm not, what did he go through that I'm probably going through?
Right.
Did he need help, or why didn't he reach out for help? And, what the type of help was that he needed, you know what I mean? And definitely raised a lot of questions for not just myself, but everybody that was connected to our school.
Yeah, man. And I don't know if you saw today, news came out that Twitch, yeah, the DJ for the Ellen show, that he also died by suicide today, or actually it was yesterday, but the news came out today.
Yeah, I
So it's just,
mean,
yeah,
yeah, man. Like, here, I mean, you never want that to happen, but perfectly timed for what we were going to talk about today, and
right.
how this, especially in the Black community, and people that look like us, they don't have the right guidance in a lot of ways. They don't have the understanding, the type of training, and, the support system that they feel that they need to push through in life. And it's very sad that happened literally within 12 hours of this podcast. So,
Right. Yeah, man. And like for me, man, it's so interesting because it's like when I think about Twitch, right? Like obviously I don't know him personally, right? I don't know what he was dealing with personally. But anytime I saw a Twitch or a clip of Twitch or anything that was going on with the Ellen show, what do you think about?
he was smiling, man, and
He
he
was
had good energy.
smiling, bro.
Yeah, that's the most deceiving part of that mental health aspect, is like the outward image. Is like, he always seemed like he was smiling, and the guests come on, he's laughing, he's enjoying himself, and he was in that moment. And that's the scariest part about the mental health process, I feel like, because you can look at somebody outwardly and be like you said, like, you always saw him smiling, you know what I mean, and
Hmm.
happy, and then you get that news today, and it's like, you never would have guessed it.
Yo, that's what I'm saying, man. Like me seeing that headline, I was like, Twitch? What? You know what I'm saying? Like I just like and I should know better. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm in the field, I understand, I get
Yeah,
it, right? But it still takes me off, it still catches me off guard when I see stuff like that because I'm like, damn, bro, I would have just never guessed. And that's the message, right? Which is like, bro, like you just never really know what somebody's going through. And I know that's cliche. I know we say that all the time when these things happen, but it's so true because it's like, bro, these like especially for men, like we will be depressed as fuck and still be out here smiling. You know what I'm saying? Still be out here putting on for everybody. Still be out here making sure that things are taken care of. Still be out here not missing a beat. But on the inside, we are depleted, bro. And I want more for us. I want us to be comfortable with just reaching out. I want us to be comfortable with saying, you know what, I'm not good right now. I need help. And not feeling like a burden because that's what I hear a lot of the times, right? Like when I talk to my friends about like, yo, bro, like I didn't even know you was dealing with that, or yo, I didn't even know that's how you was feeling. It's like, yeah, bro, I didn't want to burden you, or I didn't want to burden people around me. Like, bro, what are you told, bro? What?
man,
Like I
that's
heard
real.
yo, it's real though, and like I'm not trying to invalidate how anybody feels, but this
Nah,
is what I want to say in response to that. I heard a really good quote. I can't remember who said it, but they said, I'd rather listen to your story than attend your funeral. And that
come on, man.
shit, that shit
Come on.
hit me so deeply, bro.
Let's be real.
Yeah,
That's
for
real.
real, bro. Like, I would rather listen to your story. I'd rather you quote unquote burden me with what you're going through than have to carry your casket, bro. Like for real.
Yeah,
And
that's
and
real.
and like when you think about it in those terms, it's like, all right, what are we really even talking about? Like, come on, have the conversation. Reach out because nobody wants to say at if something was to happen, God forbid that person was to die by suicide, nobody wants to say, damn, man, like I wish I did this. I wish they reached out. I wish I could have, you know what I'm saying? I didn't even know.
That's the worst part of it, man. It's like you just said, like, and especially coming up, I feel like, I mean, I can't speak on every single culture, but I'm sure it's across the board, man, in general. But I can speak on what I went through in the Black community, and how it
Mm-hmm.
is. Like, you're taught, like, be tough, don't show no emotions, don't cry, don't
Mm-hmm.
this. You're not supposed to do this. If you get hurt, suck it up, man. Don't do that. You know what I mean? Like,
Mm-hmm.
and that is stemming, and that's like generational. You know what I mean? Where it's like you see that, and then you teach your kids that, and then these kind of occurrences happen. And I think that, you know, this day and age, which is beautiful, you know, I think it's beautiful. There's a beauty in the awareness and mental health space for us to do what we do right now. Like, just think about that. 30 years ago, there wasn't no podcast for nobody a black man to express himself if he was
Right.
feeling a way. You know, it was like, you're going to bottle that up. You know what I mean? You might talk to your lady about it or your significant other. But at the end of the day, like, outwardly, you were seen as weak if
Right.
you were to speak about that. And that's not even that long ago. You know what I mean? This
Right.
is conversations that's happening. And it's still, as you saw with Twitch, like, it's still going on. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's a conversation, I think, more like you said, don't be afraid to reach out, you know, show emotions, whatever emotions you feel, let them out. You know what I mean? Like, there's no need to bottle it up and feel like you're less of a man or less of a whoever just because you're feeling something, you
Right.
know, and always reach out to your loved ones. And like you said, you'd rather hear the conversation than attend your funeral at the end of the day.
That's a fact, bro. When we put it in those terms, it's like, yo, um, like I think for some people, they don't really think what they're dealing with is. Sometimes people don't think what they're dealing with is that bad. Sometimes, and it's like, bro, like if you having suicide ideations, is that bad, bro? Like if you're
Yeah,
thinking about if you don't want to be on Earth anymore, it's that bad. It's bad enough for you to reach out and talk to somebody, bro. Like for real.
that's a,
And even to take that even deeper, it doesn't have to get to that point for you to reach out. You get what I'm
nah,
saying? So like it doesn't have to be an extreme scenario where you feel like you don't want to be here anymore for you to then start reaching out. You can reach out as soon as you start feeling something. You know what I'm
yeah,
saying? Like it doesn't have to be an extreme case. I think we need to get more and more comfortable with just talking, bro. And that's what the whole platform is about, right? Like just creating these conversations so that we can start talking about these things. It's nothing that
absolutely.
warms my heart more than seeing, because I look at people when I look at, like, I go and look at stories when people share like the content. Like, you know, a lot of times people share it, they won't say anything, they won't write anything about it, or whatever the case may be. But every so often, right? Like somebody will share it and then they'll leave like a little think piece. And they'll leave
Yeah,
like
yeah,
a little, you know, they'll leave a little thought about it, or they'll try and create dialogue with the people in their community about it. And that always warms my heart because that means that the conversations are happening, right? Like
exactly.
this is facilitating this content, and the platform is facilitating conversations that's needed, right? Like,
Absolutely.
and one of the things that I always tell my girls, like, I wish I could sit in on every conversation that happens
Oh,
as a result of like the content that I post, because I really would love to see how people respond, or like just what's going on, like what the healing looks like, the journey, whether it's bad or good, just to see what happens. Because for me, like I'll put content out and like I see the likes, you know what I'm saying? I see the share numbers and analytics and
yeah,
all that stuff. But that's nothing compared to someone DMing me like, yo, bro, this really, really helped me. You know what I'm
yeah,
saying?
for
Like
sure.
that's why I want to be a fly on the wall for some of those conversations, because it really helps to reaffirm what it is that I'm doing. But then it also helps me to see how I can help people even more based off like conversations and questions and stuff. Like a lot of times, like I'll create content just based off of what I'm seeing in the comments. So I'm seeing
Yeah,
like
yeah,
this a lot, or I'm seeing men talking about this or that. And so I'm like, all right, cool. I need to make a post about this, or I need to make a post about that. Right. So I tailor the content based on the community, man. So yeah, I'm just saying all that to say, man, like I know we talked a lot about Twitch and suicide, but it's important. And this is what this episode was going to be about anyway. If you're a black man, right? Like not even just a black man, just anybody in general, please, man. And I always say this and say it again, please reach out, man, because we don't want to lose you to something that we feel like we could find a solution to. Like
absolutely.
there's a lot of people that are going through things that feel like there's no solution. But what I
Mhm.
found is that when I was in that point where I was like, yo, there's no solution, I don't want to be here anymore, there was
Mhm.
actually a solution. There was multiple solutions. I just didn't know
Yeah,
what they were. I wasn't
absolutely.
aware of them. And a lot of times when people die by suicide, they're not receiving mental health treatment.
No,
So
they're
it may
not.
not be, they may not be in therapy, they may not have a psychiatrist, like they're not getting actual treatment. and I don't know if there's a study that's been done on this. I may look it up and see, but I would really like to see the number of people that die by suicide. What percentage of them are actually like receiving mental health treatment?
Yeah.
Yeah, before, and like how long if they were, because I would be willing to bet my like what all my belongings that probably over 90% of the people that die by suicide are not before they died, they were not receiving mental health treatment.
Absolutely.
I'd be willing
Absolutely.
to bet my
No,
house. Yeah.
100%. And I think that, like you said, it's like, it's not about, like you said, we all, you have those feelings, man. And it's like, once you thought it was probably impossible during that time. Like, oh yeah,
Yeah,
I don't.
absolutely. Yeah.
And then you start getting that training, right? You start getting that care, and then you realize, like, man, like I can definitely get through this. And then that can, I feel like that can, I mean, I would love to say those 90%, it would eliminate all 90%, and then that they wouldn't do that. And once they get that, because it's all within the mind, it's all within the expressing yourself and all within like those boundaries. And if you're able to do that, you realize that, like you said, in your head, that it's not even as deep as you think it is. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
There's solutions to that. We can
Yeah.
get you through that. It's like you said, like us just starting a conversation, and it was like Michael Beasley got on the I think it was on the Pivot
Yeah.
pod,
Yeah.
and that was a really really good one, because he was, but he obviously needed help, but he was vocal, like, we need help, like, you know what I'm saying, like he said it like 100 times, like we need help. You feel me? So I think, I mean, I'm commending you for that too, because I mean, I didn't know that about your story in that regard, and the
Yeah.
fact that we doing this is a beautiful thing in itself. I mean,
Yeah.
that's a win.
Yeah, absolutely, bro. Like that was definitely a time in my life where I was like, yo, I don't want to be here no more, bro. The way I always
Yeah,
put it is like, I remember telling my friend, I was like, if God came down right now and he was like, yo, do you want to go or do you want to stay? I'd have been like, bro, what are we even talking about? Let's go. Like that's how I
yeah,
felt.
yeah.
That's where I was at. I didn't have a plan. I didn't have an attempt, but I genuinely felt like there was nothing for me to live for anymore, and I did not want to be here. And so I could always relate to a man that's in my DMs like, yo, bro, this is how I feel. I'm like, yo, bro, I've been there. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
Like,
yeah,
and the reason why I always tell people that are having suicidal ideations that it can get better if you do the work is because you know what I'm saying? I'm a living testimony. You know what I'm
absolutely,
saying?
absolutely.
So yeah, man. You also talked about like the two teammates of yours, right? So like outside of the high school football player, right? You also had two teammates of yours that died by suicide.
Yes, sir.
What do you
Yeah,
what do you feel like caused that?
man. To be honest with you, so I'll break it down from the first one that happened. Just when I was in my freshman year of college.
Mm-hmm.
Rest in love is Isaac, my brother Isaac. Man, he was actually from Germany.
Mm-hmm.
Brother from Germany, moved out here probably in his high school years and stuff like that. And
Mm-hmm.
was one of these kids, dude. Like, he was a big kid, like 6'7", 240, like football player that could play basketball too. He was really athletic. He didn't really know how to, like, I don't think he understood how athletic he was. One of those dudes. We all know those dudes. And
Mm-hmm.
I had a car, you know what I mean? And I used to always, he lived further away from campus. So I would always take him home. And bro, like, it was to what you said about Twitch. Like, if anybody saw Isaac, he always was smiling, like always had like good energy.
Mm-hmm.
He may not spoke a lot because of the language barrier, or, his accent and things, but
Mm-hmm.
like on our drives home, he would, to his what he does as far as his speaking, he would speak out and talk to me, and we would talk about life, we talk about basketball, we talk about home, and we it was junior college setting. So when I moved on, we all moved on from different places, and I remember getting this call, that he had passed, man, and that he had committed suicide, and it absolutely shocked me. Like it was not even like there wasn't like, I mean, which is, it's always the case, but there was like zero thought in my brain that like Isaac would do that. There was just no way. Like, it's
Mm-hmm.
still like, because of a guy that was that, like, he had to smile that light up a room, man. Like, I'm telling you, like he was like, it didn't, it never like came into my mind that he would do that. And I think it definitely attributed to like, the athletic piece, probably being away from family, not getting to where maybe he wanted to go in certain ways. Most people watching the pod, if they don't understand, there's different tiers to college basketball. There's junior college, there's NAIA, Division III, Division II, Division I. And when you're in your communities and you're getting sent out by your family, you're told to go for the best every single time. So it's D1 or bust for a lot of people. It's like if I don't one, then I'm a failure. And I'm not sure because I can't ever say in that mental space what he was feeling, but I know that those things cloud athletes. Like I know that because it clouds me, and I'll get into that later as we go on. But I mean, I think that attributes to his, and then I mean for Lafayette, man, Dorsey, man, that one was a very big shocker too. And that one happened in 2020. So me and Laf weren't like as far as like we didn't play high school basketball together. He's a few years younger than me, but Rico Hines has runs out here in LA, UCLA, and they invite some of the best professionals, as you watch on YouTube, college, high school players, and Laf at the time was at Pacific University, and it was my first time really knowing him like in that level, like and like more of like a teammate level. I'd always admired him from afar. In high school, he was like City Player of the Year in his division in the city section. And so when I saw him, I kind of knew him just because the basketball community is so small. And we were both sitting off waiting to get on, at the run, we was kind of like the younger pups that we were rookies, essentially. He was still at a couple of college, and I was going into my rookie year. And I remember us waiting off, and he was like a pit bull. He was foaming at the mouth to get on the court. He was like, bro, when I get on this court, like, there's Pascal Siakam and Terry Rozier's like, bro, I'm finna serve. Like, bro, it's up. When I get on the court, it's up, right? So, because his whole goal is, at the time, as black men, we're not striving to be a Division II player. You're striving to be in the NBA. You're striving to be in the association, 450 best. And he had this mentality to him. So we get on the court and we split up on different teams. And his matchup didn't understand the conversations we was having on the side. So Laf come on the court, fireball energy, like really just serving. Like I'm talking about serving. So we end up like mixing up the team, scrambling. We on the same squad now. I had more of the same mentality, but it was more innerly I was speaking it, but he was outwardly speaking it. He had this outward confidence, and bro, like we ran the court. We had pros on our team, they had pros on their team. We had Montrezl Harrell and Timothy Mozgov, and and all these types on our squad, and we ran the court. And I remember walking away from that, bro, being like, I don't know where he'll end up, but his mentality for his approach to the game, he will make it as far as he wants to go because of that mentality. You know what I mean? And when I got the news that he committed suicide and he took it, that broke my heart. That was like, I mean, that's two people that was closer to me in that way. And because, he was so gifted, like so gifted. And I know that his goal was the NBA. And when those dreams start to become, just staying dreams, and then the reality starts kicking in, and, some players got to go overseas, or, your professional dreams might not be coming up. Like, I don't know if there's anybody that he spoke to where he was like, man, I need help. Like I'm dealing with this and I want to make it and I can't make it right now. And they're not giving me the opportunity. I need some people to talk to get me through this. I'm not sure if he got that because I wasn't around him. But when I got the news that that's what happened, my mind automatically took me there because I had those same thoughts that he, and I had people in my corner, like my mother, which is, even though she didn't sign up to be, she was a therapist. She was everything for me, vented out my feelings to her about different political things that happen in sports that are out of your control. I wish that, Lafayette could have got that training, you know what I mean? But, it's still like, for me, it's still like, I can't really like put a pinpoint on like why it happened. Like you
Nobody
don't make the speculation. Yeah, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So sad because if they were here today, they would be thriving like no other. They would be thriving like no other. There's no way. There's no doubt about it. No doubt.
Yeah. Man, and one thing that you pointed out that we were talking about a lot is how difficult it can be to be a young man you know, all your life you've been told, yo, you're dope at basketball, you're supposed to make it, like, and then that become your expectation, and then things don't pan out that way. And we talked about that, right? So like, how do you deal with, right? Or like, how would you say someone should deal with that? Like just not making it to the A or making it professionally in the way that they wanted to, when that's all they aspire to be or were told that they should be at, you know, at such a young age.
Man, I would say you got to start early, man. Like if it was me, you know what I mean? You got to start early. Like for my situation, like I learned later. I did learn later, you know, but I also got hit with a lot of adversity earlier than like a lot of my peers. Like I wasn't a McDonald's All-American. I went to a smaller school. So I always had this like underdog mentality where it was like I knew I had to work for what I was getting. So like if I didn't get it, I wasn't as upset because I had been told no so many times because I was coming from a smaller school, right? So my mental capacity was a little bit stronger than a player that's been given the keys and been given that platform and at a big school where you're told you're the best thing since sliced bread. You know what I mean? And I think that it's a very conversations need to be had in our community much earlier than when you get to high school, because the percentage of players, when you look at percentages, I know we talked about it earlier, the percentage of players that go from middle school to high school that get a chance to suit up and put on a varsity uniform are very small. Like most high school athletics, like most of my boys, like, you know, some people, like there was a very small percentage of us that still even got a chance to excel at the varsity level.
That's where I stopped. That's where I stopped at JV. I said, oh yeah, I ain't making it to the A. I said, I can't make varsity on my high school team. I said, it's over for me. Let me stick to the books. Let me stick to the books. I said, damn. Right, yo, and not to cut you off, but it always reminds me of that, because I'm like, yo, I remember like I feel like every black man grows up like, or every black boy, right? Every black boy grows up like, yo, I'm making it to the A. I'm making it to the NFL. I'm making it somewhere, right?
For sure.
And I was begging my mom for the hoop, begging my pops for the hoop. Finally get the hoop. I lower it down, practice my LeBron James dunks. You know what I'm saying? I'm shooting. I finally get to the point where I'm beating my dad consistently. I'm like, oh, it's lit, right? Like I'm playing my middle school friends and I'm beating them, and like things are looking up. Then I get to high school tryout for JV and I'm on the bench. I'm like, may not be as good as I thought I was. I'm looking at the varsity team. I'm like, damn, I'm supposed to be that tall. I'm supposed to be doing what he's doing and playing varsity by next year or the year after that. Then I got to get into college, and then it started sinking in for me. I'm like, I don't know. I don't know if this thing gonna pan out the way I thought it was gonna pan out. Basketball cool, but I may not be able to make it to the A, and I had to break it to myself, right? Like every black man, black boy, right, has that experience where they're like, yeah, you know what? I'm not making it to the A, and it's okay, right? Like they had to break it. Like not you and people that you've dealt with, but like the regular, regular athletes, right? Like we had to get to the point where we're like, yeah, it's not gonna pan out the way I thought. But yeah, continue, bro. I'm sorry, I just had to say that. Yeah.
Nah, man. I mean, it's the nature of the beast, and honestly, brother, if I would have got a chance to know you at that time, brother, I'm sure I could have helped you prepare that career. You know what I mean? We just need somebody to push you through. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But now, man, like on the real tip, like, you know, it's just like the percentages, like as you go, become smaller and smaller. I don't think people understand that, because when you're a kid, you're thought to dream big. You're not thought to think realistically. Like I would never tell a kid to just be like, think realistically, you know, because that stops your growth as a human being and as a person. So, you know, so seeing players that I grew up with not excel and where they thought we were. So like you said, I'm coming in middle school, like out of high school, like, bro, I'm finna be in the NBA. Then when I'm done in the A, I'm about to go probably play football. Then I'm gonna play in the NFL. Then I'm gonna play in the MLB. So you thinking you're gonna do everything, you know? And if I don't do that, I'm gonna probably rap or something, or be next Will Smith, Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. Like because that's see all of our icons. You don't see all of our icons being plastered over the TV in Fortune 500 companies, CEOs, doctors, dentists. There was one of the most powerful clips that I've ever seen, and it's from somebody from where you're from, is Stephon Marbury in New York.
I love Stephon Marbury.
In his documentary, And one of the most valuable things I saw, which was it seems corny or cliche when you think about it, but he was in a barbershop getting a cut, and then another young brother was getting his hair cut, probably about in elementary school, probably like 8 years old. And, he was asking him, about what he wanted to do with his dreams. And, he's like, Stephon asked him, like, yo, do you know that you can be something else other than a basketball player? Like, did you know that you could be the president of the United States if you wanted to? And then you can help out all the people in Coney Island that don't have anything. You know what I mean? That don't have nothing. Help them out. Like, and the boy sat there and looked at him. He's like, I didn't know that. He said, I didn't know. So like for me, when I was that age, I didn't know that. You know what I mean? I'm thinking like you said, our mind is so tunneled to like, I'm about to make it to this. And everything else, it's not possible for me to do that, which in reality, it could be more possible percentage-wise, right? So when you look at that and you break it down to that high school, to the college, so people getting from high school seniors, getting a college scholarship or moving on, then gets thinner. And then when you look at people that are in college, that are trying to make it from college to professional rankings, like NBA, like we like to talk about, there's only 450 spots. There's only 450 spots. And if you do the math of how many collegiate teams there are from Division I, Division II, Division III, NAI, junior college, like the numbers for all those dudes trying to get in this tight door, we bumping elbows, bumping shoulders, trying to get in that door, like you can get left behind. And mentally, like being okay with that is very hard when you've been in high school, all in the newspaper clippings, your family coming to your games, you got your girl at the games, everybody's talking to you saying, hey, bro, like you about to be, oh man, what? You better than him, like you better than Derek Fisher, you better than this dude, you gonna make it there too. And then your mind and your coaches is like, you're the go-to guy, you're him, you're in the newspaper, you look on Instagram nowadays and all the newspaper clippings and all the social media stuff, and then you don't get what you thought, and everybody moves on, the family stop coming to the games, you don't got that girl no more. Now, the newspaper clippings, people don't identify you as an athlete in that way. They just be like, oh yeah, I remember you from when you played at Christ the King High School. Like, you know what I mean? You have an identity crisis. Like, that's what you do, but it's not maybe what you do anymore. So you don't know what you fit in the world. And that's where I signed up to be in the mental health space, is help out athletes with that identity crisis and that transition from athlete to real world. Because it's a place. It's a scary place.
Yeah, bro. So let's get into that, man. Like, how difficult was it for you to transition from like being known as a basketball player to being Austin, right? Because most people are really identifying you what you do versus who Austin is. So
sheesh. I mean, honestly, brother, I'm still transitioning to this day. You know what I mean? Like, I'm still in the transition, and I'm still learning. And because in my neighborhood, you know what I mean? Like, it's only one or two people in my school's history, like when you think about my school, you're gonna name me and my best friend, Andre Spike. It's the only people you're gonna name when you think about the city of Burbank, right? And so when you go to the city and you go to neighboring cities, when people see me in the gym now, like even though I'm coaching and mentoring and training, the first thing I think about, I have DMs right now on my phone. Yo, man, where you hooping at? Like, where you playing at? Where you last at? Like, where you at next? What's next for you? I'm trying to see where you hooping at. Like, the moment they see me, they thinking like, why are you not playing? Why don't you want to play? Like, that's who you are. And it's like, for me, and it's no disrespect to them because I get it, because I appreciate it, in a lot of different ways. And I'm very humbled by it because I worked myself up to such a point in my life that I was that good in their eyes, or that successful in their eyes, that's they have those type of aspirations for me. Right. They're like, man, you keep going. But in my reality, I always live in the present. So it's like Bruce Lee. I saw Bruce Lee quote. He talks about, what are you today? Like, oh, like I'm a coach. Like, I am a coach. Like, now when I'm playing, I'm a player. Oh, I'm a student today. Like, it's in the present mind. Like, so I'm always, for me, it's a hard transition because it's like a constant battle. I mean, I'm 6'5", 6'6". People see me tall. I'm still in shape. I could probably get on the basketball court anywhere in America, and I know I wouldn't be the last pick on the court. You know, if we at the park, I know I wouldn't be picked last. You know what I mean? So it's like, for me, it's a very challenging transition, but it's a constant reminder that I need to be out in the community. I need to be doing more. I need to, like, I'm pursuing my master's. I'm doing other things so that when people identify me, like, it's like as one of the biggest Jamal Crawford coaches. I'm a big Jamal Crawford fan, and I know he's time in the Garden over there in
Of
New York.
course, yeah, you already know. Yeah, I feel like that's where Jamal Crawford became Jamal Crawford. But go ahead.
Showtime in the Garden, boy. That boy, you know, he's the leader of the Skinny Brothers. You know what I mean? Man, you know, he has a quote that he has, and he's always had on social media, said, "I love basketball, but basketball doesn't define me." Right. So when you see me, I hope that people can identify me as Austin the person, and know that I've done a lot of good things for myself, my community, my family. And then we can know that basketball piece is in there, but you don't just say, like, that's who you are. You pigeon me into, like, that's who you are. That's what you are. Like, that's not who I am. And every day I'm still transitioning into that process of letting people know that, you know, I'm much more than just an athlete.
Right. So, like, what are some words of wisdom that you would have for someone that's, like, coming up the way that you were coming up, where it's like they the top high school player, or like they're really good at basketball, or they're being identified as that, but they don't really know who they are outside of basketball?
I mean, honestly, before I jump into that, man, I know it's your pod, but I would like to ask you the same thing, because you just said, when you was in high school, right?
Yeah.
You was able to quickly identify that, right? And like understand. So I would like to, before I answer it, I would like to hear y'all answer.
I like that. I like that. You flipped it on me. That's good.
You know what I mean?
That's solid, because I definitely talked about that. So for me, I had to break my own heart, basically, which is like, go through, what if you don't make it to the NBA? And this is what my therapist does with me too. So sometimes in our sessions, I'll talk to her about decisions that I want to make to, like, better my relationship and these different kind of things. And then I'll call it a buzzkill, but she's not really being a buzzkill. She's doing her job. She'll be a buzzkill and she'll be like, okay, what if the relationship doesn't work? What will happen? I'm like, come on, man. I'm like, yo, come on.
Yeah. Don't say that.
Come on, man. Come on. I'm telling you about what I want to do in the future. You telling me what the relate. Come on, man. But she's doing her job, right? Like, she's doing her job. And the reason why she does that is because she's trying to make sure that even if I make this decision and I go through with it, that I won't regret it in the future, because of if it doesn't pan out in the way that I want it to pan out. And so that's what I would say is, go through worst case scenario. If you are able to identify worst case scenario and say, I've made peace with that, then you're good, right? And so that's what happened for me. I get into high school. I'm like, yeah, man, I'm about to try out for, junior varsity team, right? So I tried out for junior varsity. I got on junior varsity. Didn't really play that much. And that really started to bother me. That really started to bother me a lot, not playing, because I'm like, yo, bro, I'm better than this dude. I'm better than that dude. Like, he's shorter than me. Like, this guy's whack. Like, not playing, right? And then towards, like, the end of the season, I really got to a point where I was like, yo, bro, like, it's really okay if you don't make it to the NBA, bro. Like, it's okay. So I got comfortable with the worst case scenario. And I think a lot of people, this is deeper than just basketball. Like, it's our attachment to the outcome that impacts us the most.
Absolutely.
This is what I want for my life, and if this doesn't happen, I'm a failure. That's the problem. It's the black and white thinking. It's the no room for gray. You know what I'm saying? Like, it may not happen that way. It may not happen in the timeline that you want it to happen in. It may not happen in the way that you want it to happen. But that doesn't mean that you are a failure, right? That just means that you are on a different path than the one that you thought. And the path that you're on, if you believe in God, is divinely aligned, right? Yes. And that's another thing. I was like, one thing I pray for a lot, even though I hate praying it, is I always pray, God, let it be your will and not mine. And every time I pray that, I'm like, damn, I just told God to do some things, and it may not be what I want him to actually do in my life. It may not be what I want. It may hurt a little bit. You know what I'm saying? But I pray that all the time because God has never let me down. You know what I'm saying? And what I mean by that is that whenever something is divinely aligned, even if it comes later, it's better than anything that I had planned for myself. I never in my life thought I'll be on a podcast. We had 60 plus episodes, 65,000 plus people on the platform that I'll be leading a mental health community. You know what I'm saying? I started something, and when I started it, I had a plan for it. And what I started was a Kizzle brand. And that was in 2017. I started a Kizzle brand in 2017, and it didn't go anywhere in my eyes for 3 years. And so for me, I'm like, damn, my plan ain't really work out. Right? But that whole time, God was aligning things. Absolutely. Things needed to happen in my life for me to get to the point where Express Yourself Black Man happened. And so like, I'm saying all this to say, I had to get comfortable with failure or what I perceived as failure and detach myself from the outcome of being in the NBA, making a Kizzle brand a well-known Fortune 500 company, you know, selling a bunch of merch and t-shirts and all these different things. I had to detach myself from all of Kofi's Kizzles, right? Kofi's my actual name for those that don't know, right? Kofi's outcomes, right? And just associate myself with what was actually going on in the moment and align myself with what I felt like God wanted me to do instead of what I wanted to do. And so once I got to that point, I was like, all right, cool. Yeah. I'm straight. Because this is all God ordained. Like, so I don't need to be sitting here stressing out about not making it here, not doing this, not doing that, because it's all already figured out. All I got to do is just keep walking.
Bro, I mean, see, this is why I wanted to flip it on you because, I mean, get inspiration from those, you know what I mean? And I'm always inspired by people, and I live by that, you know what I mean? I mean, like Nipsey says, like, the greatest human act is to inspire. And I mean, hearing that story, like hearing my story might inspire a kid, but hearing your story might be too. You know what I mean? That's why I'm glad that you said that, you know what I mean? And you were able to express that because for me, you know, I would, the best advice I would give to those kids is like, get help as early as possible. So, I mean, you know, if you can get help, you know, mentally and, you know, therapists or whatever, it can be group with your mom, it can be with your dad, whoever you're comfortable with, just get that understanding early that like, just because you fail, it doesn't mean that your life is over. It actually means that your life is just getting started because on the opposite side of failure is success, right? So it's like, you gotta fail to succeed. Everybody has to fall down so that they can understand and get up. Like nobody in this earth, I mean, dude right behind me, Kobe Bryant, I mean, he had a lot of failures in his career, you know, a lot of things, but I mean, you don't end up with 5 championships without going through those failures. You know what I mean? So for me, it's about understanding that, like, because like I'm a walking testament to that. It's literally, my story is very untraditional. And for those that know, like, you know, I'm most likely be having at the end think piece, I have a documentary. It's going to be coming out, you know, whatever. It's called Burbank. But as far as that goes, man, like I went from top high school player in the local community, in my local area, Nevada. Then not getting what I wanted because I didn't have academics. The only thing I focused on was basketball. I was lazy. It's not that I wasn't good. I'm lazy.
You didn't put the time into it. Yeah.
I'm like, oh, I'm playing NBA. It's just going to walk into my hands. Now you got to do other things, right? So I go to junior college. I had to get humble. Go to junior college. At the junior college, I didn't do my own homework because I advise kids, always go to your advice, always seek out help, always seek out stuff. I'm thinking things are just going to be handed to me because I'm on scholarship. Don't work that way. So I didn't do my homework. And then I get every Division I school in the country want me to go there. In junior college, I'm a man on campus, one of the top guards in the country, junior college wise. I'm thinking I'm about to go. My final 5 schools was Hawaii, Wichita State, Utah, Creighton, Arizona State. Like I had them type of schools that was on me, you know, Oklahoma State. And I committed to Hawaii because, you know, I mean, you know, a kid from LA, it blended very well for me to go to school in Hawaii. I knew the kids there. I get on campus there at a Division I made it out the home. Everybody in the hood, like, man, Pope D1 now. It was JUCO. You're not rocking with him, but now he D1. We here, round of applause. Get on campus, find out that I have transcript issues to where I only have 1 year to play Division I instead of 2 years. So then my mental had to stay strong, not going to Division I out of high school, going to junior college, which is like seen as a black hole. If you don't make it out of junior college, you probably done. Make it out of junior college to then the mountaintop, D1. Get to the D1 celebration party. That shit don't happen. I have to go down the street from Division I and go Division II to a school right down the street, Chaminade University, right? I go down to Chaminade University. My mom told me a very valuable lesson. She was like, son, I know it's not what you always wanted, but you still got to go to work and do what you have to do. Because if you go to this school and you don't perform, you're not going to still get to your dream. It don't matter. Dreams are not going to be your dreams if you don't go to work. Went to work there for 2 years, had one of the best 2-year careers, in my opinion, probably had the best one, most decorated resume as far as accolades and wins. Got out of there, and I still ended up on the same track I probably would have been if I would have went Division I. Playing professionally, getting a chance to play for money, getting a chance to see the world playing a game of basketball. So what I say is that just because you fail and don't get to where you thought you were going to get doesn't mean that your end goal, you can't get there. Like, you don't get to play. There was dudes that played Division I that didn't play as long as me.
Right.
There was dudes in my McDonald's All-American class that didn't even play professionally. Dudes that you watch McDonald's All-American game, they're the best high school players at that time. Then there was dudes on that team that didn't play as long as me. So it's not about the failures and what you perceive as failures. It's about pushing through those when those times get tough, identifying it, being comfortable with the failure, being at peace with it, and then you succeed. So that's what I got to say. That's my
man. I love that. I love that so much, bro. And here's what I add to that too, right? Because you don't hit your end goal doesn't mean you failed.
Nah.
Right? Like I've had a lot of goals in my life that I have not hit. Right. But I'm so glad I didn't hit those goals when I look at my life now, because it always goes back to God for me. I had goals that I had set that weren't in alignment with what God wanted me to do.
Exactly.
And you can, you know what I'm saying? You can be as stubborn as you want to be, but I'm going to sit here and tell you, like, it's better for you to be in alignment with what God wants you to do than for you to be in alignment with what you want to do. I'll tell you that right now. You're going to be fighting an uphill battle doing that. Right. And for me, I got real comfortable with just, you know what, this is what God wants me to do. It may not be working out in a way that I want it to work out right now, but I know in my heart this is what God wants me to do. So I'm cool. And I feel like I got rewarded for that, and I'm continuing to be rewarded for that.
You are.
You know what I'm saying? Like, yeah, and that's what it is. Like, for me, it's like, yo, bro, like, I don't want to do it unless God wants me to do it. Like, I don't even care. Like, don't get me wrong. Like, I set goals for myself all the time.
Absolutely.
I'm like, God, I pray. I was praying today. I'm like, God, I pray for divine discernment. I pray for your wisdom, your knowledge, and your understanding. And I pray that your will be done and not mine. And that we stay in alignment. And that whatever path that I'm on, that you don't forsake me and that you walk with me and you guide me. Because I don't want to be out here just on my own, doing my own thing, chilling.
Nah.
Hell no.
Nah, I'm walking along with you. You lead me to the way. You know what I mean? You're gonna lead.
And I think once you keep that in the back of your head, regardless of what, regardless of what people say, what happens, how things pan out, what people think about you, expectations that you have, whatever the case may be, as long as you keep on saying, you know what, this is what God has planned for me. This is what God has planned for me. This is what God has planned for me. Everything's going to work out. As long as you affirm yourself like that, yeah, I think you'll be fine.
Absolutely.
Like, you got it. Yeah, go ahead.
I got to back on one thing too.
Yeah.
You're coming up in those times. I don't know about if you can speak for yourself, but I know for me, I've always surrounded myself with people that were older than me, like mentors that were around me because, they've been in the shoes that we were walking. So I didn't have a lot of, per se, mentors in high school because, like, they didn't walk in the same shoes as me. But I want to give a special shout out to them is during COVID, obviously a rough time for everybody. Not just me, everybody in the world was adapting to that.
Mm-hmm.
And my roommates at the time, which I've spoken to you about, they're from two of them from Mount Vernon, New York. His name is Ramen Doyley and Brentley Pearson, right? And then Ramen's wife, Angel Farad, right? So OD and the clan, when you guys hear this, I hope you guys, receive this very well, right? So, I feel like they elevated my mental capacity because they look like me. They were older, but they've experienced things that I maybe am going to be experiencing in the next few years. And we had, during COVID, some of the most open, honest conversations, dialogue about ourselves, our community, what we grew up in, generational trauma, not growing up with your pops in your house, in your life, how that can affect you. Open conversation during such an intimate, small time where everybody was feeling different things. I feel like they're God, they believe in God, very religious, very spiritual people. So we always have a common denominator within us, knowing that we're fine as long as we got God with us, right? So I just wanted to give that shout out because they helped me out much more than I thought. Because in the moment I felt it, when you feel like you're getting like that type of you feel it, but like now looking 2 years back, man, like that, it changed my life, man, like in a lot of different ways. And seeing people that look like me that have gone through certain trials and tribulations and made it out, and they're all three very successful in what they do, and beautiful people. And I got to give them their flowers because they helped the young without knowing that they helped them. So.
Yeah, I love that, bro. And it just reminds me of what we do inside of Safe Haven. Like just yesterday, we had a community forum. We had like 12 men in there, 12 Black men in there. And we're all just sharing with each other, supporting each other. Right now, it's led by one of our moderators inside of Safe Haven. So we have those Tuesday bi-weekly at 7 p.m. Eastern. Yeah, you got to tap in, bro. And I'm saying all that to say because it reminds me of the fact that like when we lead with vulnerability as Black men, when we talk about what we're experiencing, we can see ourselves and other people, and it makes us feel less alone. And it gives us that support, right? So like inside of Safe Haven, we got that support network of 250 plus Black men, right? Like there's us, we making posts, like we're motivating each other to stay in the gym. Like I just made a post today. I'll go to the gym like 3 to 5 times a week. And when I go there, I just make a little check-in like, yo, bro, I'm in the gym. Right. And that just gives everybody a little bit of inspiration, like to keep going. Right. And then even outside of that, obviously like the low cost therapy and the medical concierge service and all that. But the real power of it is that we have a community of Black men that are uplifting other Black men. And I don't think that we've had that. And so that's what, when I hear you talk about that, I'm like, yeah, you found a support network. And that's what every Black man needs. He needs Black men around him that are showing him that he's not crazy for how he feels. And on top of that, here's things that he can do. And here's extra support for when he's going through some things, man. Like, I know we talked a lot about suicide earlier. I feel like that's another way in which we can combat that, is getting that support network and that like support system that we can lean on, that we really feel comfortable with, man. So we're doing that work in Safe Haven. I'm so glad that you talked about the people that have supported you, because that's what it's all about, bro. Like truly.
Bro, it takes a village, man, to get through those times. And, like I said, like there was during that time, I didn't know what my future looked like as a basketball player. You couldn't play, you couldn't do certain things, even for them in their respective crafts, like as far as tailoring, as far as being a stylist and not being able to be on sets and doing different things. I mean, there was one specific conversation that I remember us having as a community in our apartment, where we were talking about our life and when we make it out of COVID and how things are going to progress because of the work we were putting in. And, and I remember us, like, I promise you, like, I would not lie to you, we was in TV, and I put on, we was all around, had some good music, had some candles lit, you know what I mean, had a good prayer. I put on, like a YouTube, and we put on like houses, like in LA, right? $17 million houses, and, the dreams and aspirations, we sitting there, right? And we're talking about, oh, I want to do it here. I want to do it here. Promise you, my boy, Brentley, he will attest to this when he hears it. I look over at my guy, and as he's talking about what he wants to do with his career, his life, and how it's going to progress, he's crying. Like, he's crying. legitimate tears. Like I promise you. And like it was so powerful in a sense because it was such a beautiful, like he saw like his dreams and what he wanted to do and how he was gonna put it into work. And he put it in that moment and saw that house and was like, we're gonna get this, like as a unit. It may not be today, it may not be tomorrow, it may not be in 5, it may not be in 10 years, but this work we're putting in right now, like we're gonna get there and see somebody older than me, like Brindley and like, you know, Brindley, what y'all saying in
Raleigh?
Aki,
Aki, yeah.
Like bro, you know, one of the like strongest dudes I've ever seen, and in that moment, he was stronger than I'd ever seen him because he was vulnerable enough to do that. You know what I mean? Like seeing our, you know, and like because I never thought it was like, you know, in my household and in my generation, you know, we taught not to cry, but we see one of your mentors and one of the people you look up to, big brothers, them going through that and like in that way, and it was a happy cry and it was like emotional, like we gonna get this, bro. My life has been different, you know, since being with them as far as that. So I just got to give them their flowers, man.
Yeah, man, I absolutely love it, man. And for anybody that's interested that heard me talk about, Safe Haven, all the information is on the website. So that's expressyourselfblackman.com/safe-haven. So that's SAFE-haven, HAVEN. And so you can find that on the expressyourselfblackman.com. All the information is there, everything that you're looking for. If you're trying to gift it to somebody, you can find that as well on the site. Because yeah, man, we need it. And I don't know how long, I'm gonna be honest, like there's certain things that we may not be able to continue to do just because of capacity purposes, which is like the low cost therapy, right? So I'm trying to add in more therapists. I'm trying to add in group sessions and all that kind of stuff. But like the low cost therapy, the individualized sessions may get capped just because there may be too much of a demand, right? Like even right now, like just holiday season, there's a higher demand than we are able to like help with. So anybody that's interested, if you want to join in right now, make sure you reserve. Definitely do that, because I can definitely see in the future there may be a point in time where we're like, all right, you know what? We reached the limit. And this is no longer, you know what I'm saying? Like this is it. Right. So don't wait, man. Don't wait at all, man. But Austin, man, it's really been a pleasure, bro. Please tell people where they can find you, how they can support all that good stuff, bro.
Man, you can find me on the gram, not too hard to find. Austin, AUSTINO, like the letter, and then Pope, like the Catholic Pope, POPE. Man, and it's been a pleasure of mine to be on here. I was very hyped about it. I know we had a couple mutual friends that you speak to that we both know.
Yeah.
There's some shout outs to them, obviously. But, you know, as far as this platform you built, bro, like I give flowers where flowers are always given, need to be given. And it's only growing and it's going to continue to grow. And it's an amazing platform. I can't wait for people to tap into this pod and, you know, keep supporting not just me, but yourself too, because this is a beautiful pod, man. You got it.
Absolutely, bro. I appreciate it, man. Thank you so much for coming on and just being transparent and vulnerable, bro. It's definitely been a dope episode.
For sure, man. For sure. And then, you know, before we get off, you know, obviously always shout out to Mom Dukes. Shout out to my step Pop Keith, man. He's from New York, you know what I mean?
Where? Okay.
I did some shout outs already. Shout out to my lady, man, you know, for holding me down and always, you know, staying with me through the mental times. I know you express that same thing. You know, we go through things. A lot of the times are the first ones that be there. So shout out to my lady for that. And shout out to my best friend, Dre, and all the people back in Burbank, man. It's for y'all. So hope y'all like this episode.
Love it, bro. Love it. All right, y'all see I'm in a suit. I am never in a suit, but today is a special day. We just signed a contract with 2 Black organizations. They're gonna offer therapy and medical care to Safe Haven and the Express Yourself Black Man platform. We're partnering with both Whole Brother Mission and the Healthcare Plug. I'm gonna have Malik, the CEO of Whole Brother Mission, and Simone from the Healthcare Plug explain exactly what that partnership means.
I'm Malik Blade, CEO of the Whole Brother Mission. We are a nonprofit offering mental health services to Black men nationwide. We have a network of over 3,000 mental health professionals. We're offering an exclusive low price for therapy to members of Safe Haven and free group therapy. All you need to do is join the low-cost therapy group. And there's more. We're not just focused on your mental health, we're focused on creating a space for holistic healing. So I'm about to pass it over to Simone so she can tell you how the Healthcare Plug is doing that.
Hey, I'm Simone Kenya, CEO of the Healthcare Plug, the nation's first medical concierge service for Black and Brown communities. Our goal is to increase the access that marginalized groups have to the highest healthcare quality possible. Of our partnership with Express Yourself Black Man, we're offering free round-trip transportation, assistance with getting signed up for affordable insurance plans, and physician referrals. So we'll get you plugged in with Black and brown doctors in your area. All you have to do is sign up for Safe Haven and join the medical concierge group.
Safe Haven is the only platform where Black men can get access to a support network of other Black men that can relate to exactly what they're going through. And on top of that, they get access to low-cost therapy, the free medical concierge service, free group therapy, and a personal finance group with information on how you can take your situation financially to the next level. So at this point, why are you not in Safe Haven? So if you're ready to start taking your healing and your life seriously into the next level, join Safe Haven. The link is in my bio.
Sometimes I know you feel like you ain't got nobody to speak to. Shoulder to lean on somebody you could preach to. No, you need to hear it, my brother, I love you. We got way too much to live for.